Well, thank you so much for staying with us, and thank you to our sponsors for sponsoring our show. Without them, we would not be able to be here with you. So Habitat for Humanity, bless your hearts, and Bonide, thank you so much for sponsoring our show and also for producing wonderful organic products to keep our gardens and our landscapes healthy. So we've talked about the Japanese beetles and trimming our trees. And now what we're going to talk about, our next question was about harvesting our vegetables and how we should clean them, and also if we're buying them, what the process needs to be to do that. So we're going to talk about that now. And I was actually talking about the farmers markets to a couple vendors the other day that do the farmers market in Plain and Canton and the Alliance Market. And so if you are harvesting your own produce, we're going to talk about that first. If you're harvesting your own produce in your garden, rinsing it off, if your hands are clean when you're harvesting, when you're doing your garden work, your hands are clean. You haven't been, in my case, I have a farm also. So if I would happen to be in the chicken coop working or in a stall with an animal, before I go to my garden, I want to make sure that my hands are clean. So you want to use warm soapy water, clean your hands before you go to harvest in your garden. So you know how that was handled. And then just rinsing them off in case there's some, garden soil on it and you don't want to eat that. Rinse that off. At a farmer's market, if you're talking to a local vendor who is growing local produce themselves, they're growing it, you can always ask your farmer, how do you process? After harvest, how do you rinse it? Is there any way for there to be any contamination? Like we always say, know your food, know your farmer. And that's how you're going to know your food and how it was cleaned and how it was processed, by asking your farmer. Now, in most cases, like I know the Fichters from the Plain Market here in Stark County, and also they do the Canton Market, and Betsy Libby that does the Alliance Market, know these produce vendors very well, and also Jacob that does Tuscarawas County Farmers Market and the Canton Farmers Market. They all process, clean their vegetables very good, and it's ready for you. In those cases, I would have no problem buying a bundle of radishes from any one of these and literally eating them right then. I would have no problem. But you might want to ask for your own satisfaction, and that's how I am that comfortable with these vendors, is because I know how they handle their produce. Now, I want to step into another situation where not only cleaning, but what produce you should be buying at the farmer's market. So if you're at a farmer's market right now, let's say this morning you are at the Canton Farmer's Market and you see someone have cantaloupe, corn on the cob, peaches maybe, you need to, a flag needs to go off into your head and saying, you know what, those things are not ready in our area yet. And maybe if you're not sure if they should be ready, go to one of these other reputable vendors that you have seen there for years and say, are you able to harvest, or why aren't you harvesting cantaloupe yet? Is it because you just don't grow it, or is cantaloupe not ready yet in our area? And in most cases, I'm going to tell you, we are not harvesting cantaloupe yet in our area. June 30th, we're not harvesting cantaloupe yet. We're not harvesting any corn on the cob yet. And maybe, I don't know if anybody even in southern Ohio is harvesting corn yet this early this year because of the weather that we have had. Once in a while, by the 4th of July, southern Ohio will have corn on the cob and a few tomatoes. But there are not a ton of tomatoes that's grown here locally that are ripe and ready to slice and eat unless someone has a high tunnel. And if they have a high tunnel, then they could have tomatoes. But you need to ask those questions. Again, know your food, know your farmer. You need to ask those questions. And you don't want to buy produce from a vendor that went to Cleveland and picked it up off the docks. That's why you do and shop at a farmer's market, a local farmer's market, so that you can buy local produce. And we're trying to cut down on that carbon footprint. So we want to make sure that we are buying local produce from a local farmer and that they grew it, and we're supporting our community, that we're not supporting a farmer no problem with supporting farmers in other areas. But if we're at a farmer's market, we're trying to really watch that carbon footprint, and to be producing or purchasing something from a farmer in Georgia right now, that's not really, we need to realize that we need to be eating local. And that's going to be better for our community. It's going to be better for us. And let's support the local farmer that's producing local crops right here. And you'll find out that it's much better. So you want to make sure. But if you are purchasing this local produce, and there might be some things that you need that you have to go to the grocery store for, and even if it's organic, washing in a vinegar bath is always a good idea, unless you, like I said, know that farmer really well and how they process. But to be on the safe side, you might want to wash with a vinegar bath. There was a young lady in our store just the other day. She said that she had been a nurse for many years, and she always worries about the E. coli. That is, the stories that are going around right now about the lettuce. And she was like, so should I worry? And I said, no, you're growing these things yourself. A bird dropping is not something, because that was one of her big things. What if a bird poops on my lettuce? Am I going to get E. coli? I am like, the chances of that happening is so very nil. I just don't think that you should stress over that stuff. Definitely rinse your vegetables off when you harvest. And if you have those kind of scares, you can rinse in a nice vegetable, or all of your vegetables and fruit in a nice vinegar bath, and you will control all of those types of things. A nice bowl full of vinegar water, rinse it off in there, then rinse it in some fresh water, and you're going to be able to control all of those types of things and not have to worry about them. So do a vinegar bath wash. If you are concerned, but in most cases, just a rinse of water is going to wash off the dirt, and that's really all that you're going to need to be doing. Right now, things that you can expect to find at the farmer's market from local vendors that they should, be having are beets, straight neck squash. Some of them might even have some cucumbers because they started them in a high tunnel early. I know that I have cucumbers, started them early, very early in April indoors, moved them outside in May, and I'm harvesting cucumbers already. I'm harvesting straight neck squash and beets. And of course, lettuce and kale, scallions from our garlic is coming on now. A lot of people that have their scapes for sale. Garlic will be harvested in the next few weeks. So there are so many things that you can get locally, but if you do see some of those oddball things, it should send off a flag so that that all of those things are not being produced locally right now. So we want to make sure that you remember how to get your questions answered and how we can do it on the air. So if you have questions that you would like to have answered, you can give us a call at 330-455-5997. You can email me at cindypetitti@gmail.com. And that's CINDYPETITTI@gmail.com. Or better yet, we'd love you to stop out at the store and ask your questions there so that we can actually show you. So that address is 5828 Columbus Road, right there on the corner of Columbus Road and Broadway. And then we will be able to show you and answer your questions and have the product right there that you're going to be needing. And that's like when we go back to the question that people had about trimming your trees and shrubs. We love you to come with your questions to the garden center because we can take you out into that area of our store and actually show you how to trim a hydrangea. We can show you how to trim your weeping snow fountain cherries and all of the other things. We can show you actually how to trim up your tomato plants and how to disinfect your pruners. We can show you all of those things, how to deadhead your roses correctly and all of your annuals and your perennials. So coming to the store is definitely the best way to have your questions answered, but also it's going to be easier for you so that you can actually see how they're done. You can even bring us your pruners and say, are these pruners the right pruners that I should be using? Or should I have a different pair? And we'll show you how to sharpen your pruners if your pruners need to be sharpened. If a hand pruner is not the tool that you need for what you have, you can bring us a picture and say, is this limb too big for my hand pruners that I have? We can show you how to use a pair of loppers and those kind of things so that you have all of the tools that you need and you're able to go ahead and get your landscape in shape. We want to make sure that you are able to do that. And that's the nice thing about shopping at a local independent garden center. Not always do we have the extra time, but we take the extra time to show you. We're probably busier than the garden centers are at the box stores because there's not as many of us and we have a lot more tasks to do. But we take the time to show you because we know the importance of having our customers become friends and building those relationships with them and teaching you how to do those things. And that's the other thing that we love to do is to help teach you how to trim and prune, how to plant, and that's why we offer classes at our store and also at your facility. So if you have a group that would like to have someone come and speak about a specific topic or maybe about healthy eating or how to grow your own garden, how to keep it all healthy, we definitely will come to your church or your organization's place of meeting and help you do that. And you can schedule that by emailing me, cindypetiiti@gmail.com, or you can give us a call at the store, 330-455-5997, and get those types of things scheduled. The only month that we don't do programming is in May because we are so busy. But any other time, we also go to places of employment. A lot of insurance companies are offering reduced rates to employers that do healthy eating seminars or classes on healthy eating and gardening and eating a healthy diet and those benefits. So we will come to your place of employment and do a class there for you as well. We have done that for several companies in the past, so we can do that as well. So please don't hesitate to ask us your questions. We want you to have a successful garden, a successful, beautiful landscape, and we just want to help you do that. Well, here we are at the end of another show. June 30th, the last day of June, starting tomorrow, it will be our summer hours. Tomorrow will be our very last day to be open on Sundays, 11 to 3, and then we will be closed. But Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. till 6 p.m., Saturdays, 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Thank you all so much, and have a blessed week.